So this was the week where the House passed the "Let's Fund the Government for a Little Bit Longer, Shall We" bill, leaving it to President Biden to sign. And it's a rare opportunity for Democrats who are currently, although not for long, in control of both chambers, to use a lame duck session and pass like critical parts of their agenda before they lose the majority in the House. So did they? A little bit. A little bit of good and a lot of bit of you shoulda, woulda, coulda. So let's go into what was good and actually coming out of that January 6th commission recommendations. There's legislation in this omnibus bill that clarifies the vice president's role in overseeing certification, saying like, no, it's just ceremonial. There's a set of stipulations designed to make it harder for there to be any confusion over the accurate slate of electors from each slate. You're just there to, it's like ringing the bell for the stock market. You don't own the stock market then.
Yeah. I also think that I think it would be smart I think all that is smart to put in because obviously, I don't know if you remember, we had a bit of a situation. But I think the Democrats should not try to box Trump out. He's on such a down. If I would be like, let him run, let him be, it's their time. They did a lot of like funding candidates that would totally lose in the 2020 like I would do that. I would let Trump go over DeSantis. I think DeSantis a much more scary person who will do not as far as being president, but I think a much bigger threat to beating an 80-year-old man whose eyes don't open anymore.
Okay, counterpoint. We did that in 2016. And
I feel like he had his jump the shark with his little NFTs. I really feel, I mean, again, it would be great if the Democrats were like, why don't we just have a great candidate? But instead, you're really kind of hedging your bets over like, who's going to like make Joe Biden look the worst? Trump, I feel like he's more of like a Trump cover band than the original Trump.
That's very true. We have plenty of time to discuss DeSantis v. Trump, but at least there's some money in this omnibus spending bill, Gareth, which is what we're talking about, which I know you're excited about.
I am.
There is funding for $2.6 billion for U.S. attorneys that include efforts to fund prosecutions related to the January 6th attack on the Capitol and domestic terrorism cases, according to a fact sheet from the House Appropriations Committee. There's $11.3 billion to the FBI in investigating extremist violence and domestic terrorism, and of course that will be spent wisely.
Yes.
Not at all used to surveil shows like this one. What does it not include? Okay, no more child tax credit. There was a measure to bring that back. Sadly, not there. Corporate and individual tax breaks did not make the final bill. Neither did legislation to allow cannabis companies to bank their cash reserves, known as the Safe Banking Act, or a bill, and this one is particularly fucked, to help Afghan evacuees in the U.S. gain lawful permanent residency. Now, they can just be swept up by ICE. And the spending package also did not include a White House request for roughly $10 billion in additional COVID funding for the COVID-19 response, or funding for the COVID-19 response, which is like, no,
it's we're always talking about so much money, but $10 billion in this bill is nothing, and you can't even get that.
A $1.7 trillion in total, and yet a stipulation that came out of the pandemic was basically you can't kick people off of Medicaid, during a pandemic, which is like, okay, there's some like the minimal heart you can have, and
that's holding, right? That's still
is gone.
Damn.
That is.
Damn.
Yep. So the continuous coverage measure enacted as part of COVID-19 relief passed in March 2020 and has led to 90 million Medicaid enrollees is no longer in place. So there's no law that will phase, basically recipients can be kicked off of it. Up to 19 million people could lose their Medicaid benefits, although many would be eligible for other coverage. Sure, CNN.
For sure. Yeah, come over here. Come to Cobra. It's going to be great.
We promise. So it's It's my cobra snake.
We named it Cobra because it's really good for you. And
Yeah, aren't you, little one? Just fucking the worst, the worst. Like,
I also was reading that of the 19 million people, it's mainly, you know, people of color who are going to be affected. It's like
in other words,
continuing.
Democrats. Is that what you're saying?
All right, yeah, but it is shocking that it is this abysmal. I mean, when you look at the, which I'm sure you'll get into, the amount of defense spending versus the
Mhm.
amount of actual money there is for the rest. It would be like if you were in a house and your dad was in charge of the finances and he put 90% of everything towards the man cave. And you're like, "Dad, we don't have cereal." He'd be like, "We got to make the man cave better." Just be like, "Yeah, but Dad, we need like I don't have any my clothes. I can't fit in my shoes anymore." I'd be like, "I'm gonna get more stuff in the man cave."
Yeah, exactly. I need a, well, you know, one of those little foot massagers with, like, you put the little fish. I've got the mini fish, you put them in
Get
and they
the
eat the
fish.
dead skin off my feet.
I've got about $200,000 carved out for flashlights for the man cave. It's the man cave budget.
Yeah, no, the military is effectively our man cave. It does not make us safer. I think man caves are actually would make us more safer if we invested in actual
I've
cave.
got an I'm gonna add on something to this comparison. You're not allowed to go into the man cave.
Oh, no.
So
Not
you
at
just
all.
keep hearing about how great the man cave is doing and all the stuff we're putting into the man cave, but you can't
The man cave's bringing
figure it out.
democracy to the world, you know?
Yes, and every time we audit the man cave, it fails.
Oh, every time, but that's okay because, you know, the America.
Yeah, you have
Um,
trust in it.
to that end, $858 billion for military spending, 45 billion more than proposed. Some
Which
of
is
that
also just the crazy. Who's tipping? Why are we tipping the military? Hey, a little something for yourself. Hey, here you go. Get yourself something nice. There you go. What are we doing?
that's exactly what it is. But maybe it's going to a good place. We're talking 45 billion in assistance to Ukraine and NATO allies. And in addition, there's this it includes an overhaul of electoral vote counting, um, an overhaul of the electoral vote counting law, protections for pregnant workers, and enhancement of retirement savings rules, and a TikTok ban on federal devices. Let's pull that apart. So, 45 billion, maybe that's the tip, you know, that Gareth is talking about. Protections for pregnant workers. Yes, they're very, very cool and things that, oh my God, I can't believe we're not in place. But things like the Pump Act, which stipulates that employers have to guarantee their workers have a safe, quiet, seated place to actually like pump breast milk, you know? Also, so that pregnant workers don't have to like do manual labor and run the risk of being pregnant. I mean, if you're going to force people into pregnancy, like tens of millions of women currently are forced in their states since the overturning of Roe v. Wade and all of these draconian laws, you might as well make it a little bit fucking easier for them to be your forced birthers. And as someone who is pumping and just pumped right before the show, I've got a lot of sympathy because I'm like, has anyone died from like their breasts exploding? Because it's very painful. If you don't know, Gareth,
Oh, I know.
it's painful when your boobs are full of milk, and then it's just like, I wonder, like, I'm about to, as a parent, all you do is Google things nowadays. You're just like,
Yeah.
can baby die from cry? You know, like, but it's always misspelled.
I like Can Baby Die from Cry.
Yeah. That's,
I've
that's
Googled that.
how long before baby die. Um,
Yeah.
there's there's a lot of that, and like one of them is like, can die from breasts exploding. Anyway, I'm glad the Pump Act is in there.
Yeah, it's again, they have to put that stuff in there. Otherwise, it's all irredeemable. And it
That's true.
is that's why they are adding those. It's like I'm going to punch you in the face, but here's $5 and a lollipop. So you're like, "Oh, thank you. I don't know how to react to this necessarily." But it really doesn't help that I mean, those are again like you're saying they're no-brainers, but they are there so that you get thrown off the scent a little bit. And it
Yeah,
is what separates the Democrats from the Republic. It's these marginal, minor victories that make you go, okay, yes, you are slightly better than these nightmare fascists who are lurking around the corner. But the whole
absolutely.
problem is if they don't do enough of that, they're going to lose more and more people. They could do loads of it and stack the deck against Trump, DeSantis, whoever's coming, but instead they're really just kind of hedging bets. And that's what these things are. They're just like, yes, you're right. Women should obviously have safe places to do all that stuff. The idea that, like, obviously it's not okay to be like, you're pregnant and raising it, you're fired. Like, that should not be okay.
And it
But
happens all the time.
and
Sorry.
is commonplace. Yeah, totally. But within that, I mean, how much fucking money do we need to spend on this defense budget?
No,
It,
exactly. And like, 45 billion, take it from somewhere else. I do believe in actually funding Ukraine in this war. I do. I don't think it should be unchecked. I respect the Congress people who voted against it, and we're going to talk about that. But take it from somewhere else in the fucking Pentagon, man. Take it from
can
somewhere
we
else
just
in the
buy it?
defense money.
Can we buy Ukraine? How much? I would. They should just put a not like. How much is it to buy it? We've got to be close to being able to buy it at this point. Let's just buy it. Let's just buy the place. We need to
And then
stop,
put a
like,
bunch of
doing this.
motels or hotels and little
It's
houses
like
on
a
it. And then if
car
you land
payment.
on it, you got to pay. It pays for itself at the end.
Yeah, it's
Monopoly
like a car
rules.
payment where after like a 3 or 4 year lease, you're like, I should have just bought it. Like, we should just buy it.
You're basically saying if the analogy is to be followed, that we go to war. You ready to
We
you
are
ready
at war.
you
We're
ready
in
to
this
put
weird.
No,
We're
but
in
you
this
you
weird
got to go,
one.
Gareth. You got to go personally.
Listen, you want me over there doing this. You want me. You need me over there. I'll be really helpful. They'll just keep being like, where is he? And I'll be like in a hole. Like,
He's doing crowd work.
I just tons of crowd work. Hey, you guys got big guns. You guys like big guns? I got 2 big guns for. All right, come on, guys. Let's loosen up. Let's lighten up, everybody. Come on. But we're already fighting the war. We're fighting a very sort of strange little war where we're like, we're giving them missiles. And Russia's like, okay, I suppose you can give missiles and not be directly engaged. Like,
Yeah.
it's
No,
very
it is.
strange.
We're hanging a lot on the mental well-being of Vladimir Putin, which is shaky.
Which is
Very, very shaky.
not great for a man who's known to shove people out of windows for little.
No,
things.
but so there's this spending, and even though she says she supported things like the Pump Act and other, um, and basically things that protected pregnant workers that were kind of one of the better things in this bill, in addition to the protections, electoral protections. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez voted no and was the only Democrat to vote no on the omnibus spending bill, saying, I campaigned on a promise to my constituents to oppose additional expansion and funding for ICE and DHS, particularly in the absence of long overdue immigration reform. For that reason, as well as the dramatic increase in defense spending, which even exceeds President Biden's request, I voted no on today's omnibus bill. So that, the DHS and is effectively, I don't know if it's separate from the CIA money, but there's a lot of like intelligence money. Now,
Yes.
I would argue, I
For
think
a country this stupid.
exactly. You're throwing good money after bad at this point. And
Yeah.
you are. I think that the FBI, look, I'm someone who believes that an intelligence agency should exist, but I believe in remaking it from the ground fucking up.
Yeah.
I don't
Let's
think,
try it.
yeah, why don't
Let's try
we,
anew. Yes.
like, take 20,000th. That was a
Yeah,
good
well,
line.
the whole thing is we would need to make it outside of the government. And, here we
Right.
are again with the like
Yeah.
I mean, it's essentially like it's constantly us talking about things we need to do to the country club that we're not members of that we work for. And, it's like that's all we end up doing. But I
Yeah.
think the whole thing with Ocasio-Cortez and anyone in the squad is I sort of felt like when they were first kind of forming and it felt like they were kind of a group, it felt like there was going to be some sort of strategy that we kind of had
Yeah.
a cell inside of the Democratic Party that was going to be able to, with their solidarity, make moves and have an angle. And instead, it's just scattershot where, Ilhan Omar will vote against one thing, and then Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will vote against it, and Ro Khanna. And they independently every now and then do little moves, but there is no organization, and I believe by design, because they are, again, the Democratic Party is the blob that just absorbs any sort of movement just to sort of keep the stasis that keeps them rich.
Yes, exactly. I think that it is like step 5 on a 50-point plan to make socialism and like make real change is like getting into power, you know? And then they have to campaign every 2 fucking years. But I believe that Nancy Pelosi pushes AOC up against a wall and say, "You think you're pretty, little girl? You think you're gonna come in here and you think you're gonna do, what you're gonna do, revolution? You're gonna do progressivism? You're gonna do woke? Are you gonna do no? You're gonna eat my ice cream and you're gonna like it. You're gonna stay in your place." And, you know, like she is. Don't get it twisted. There is some mean girl shit happening in the Congress, and they're like, "If you're gonna do some shit, you get no committee positions. Don't think that I wouldn't put you in a goddamn corner because you're a baby, and babies go in a corner." That's what happened.
think that she's trying to make a coat out of the progressives. That's what I think.
I think it's hard, is what I'm trying to say. I think it's hard.
It's totally hard. But there were at the beginning, she was like, "I'm gonna go sit in Nancy Pelosi's office about the Green New Deal." And
I
like,
know.
Holy
and that
shit,
was, I know. I know. That was never
and
forgive,
we
though.
So far removed from that now that it's like
was and again, never forgive.
The term progressive has been usurped now as well, and you just go, well, god damn it, we got to come up with another name. Like, how many times do we have to just keep renaming this shit where it's like, fuck the system?
Right.
But we keep having to be like, all right, we're not progressives, we're rejectives. We reject you, you know, and then rejectives will win. And then you'll have like the Nancy Pelosi heir just going like, I'm a rejective. And you're like, well, fuck it. That just jumped the shark too.
That's a brilliant encapsulation of political co-optation by Gareth Reynolds, everybody. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuationroom. Do it.